Hi, it's Revew here. Just thought I might do a review on the Lord of Isles, the 25th and limited edition train pack. I'll just do the loco because I'm too lazy to get out the coaches. Okay, the loco is an attempt at replicating the 422 single Dean in class locomotives. This one, Lord of the Isles. This class of locomotives were built on a broad gauge back when GWR was broad, then was later rebuilt at standard gauge. I'll start with just look at tender. The tender is fairly historically correct for what I can figure out of the early tenders. Though it doesn't have spring buffers, though it does have a screw there if you want to take out the coupler. Though replace it with what? That's what I want to know. Something else I don't really like about the Hornby models is when this tender is supposed to be riveted, there's no rivets. The coal load can be lifted out. So if you want to add your own coal, correct filler on the tender. And it has a drop pin coupler to hook it onto the loco. Now onto the loco itself. As you see, I only drive on one huge drive wheel. I quite personally like the polished brass finish. Brass is just plastic. The cab is fairly well detailed, which is a plus on this model. Although I would prefer a bit more detail, like numbers and everything on the gauges. The loco itself is DCC ready. So if you want to ruin the collector's value and put a DCC chip in there, it is possible. Haven't seen inside the loco itself. This only a limited edition number of 2,500 of collectors would have the exact same model. Although I know Hornby has released more of these locos in recent years. As you see, it's quite small loco. Although another big drawback is these handrails. You may not be able to see it. It's either they used an old triad mould or I don't know what, but the handrails aren't really rails, they're painted bits of plastic. They're actually moulded onto the loco frame. Also prefer things like that. Oh, I think that's a brake injector. I would prefer them to be painted up like in a brass colour. Or a different colour, because quite frankly I don't think a green injector looks quite realistic. All in all, a good reasonable locomotive. Last time I was up in train trade in Pimble in Albert Sydney, I saw one of these locos, and it is worth getting in my opinion if you're just like me, a collector. Something else I don't really like about this model are these two little whistles. They're painted black. They should be painted like the rest of the loco, brass. The Great Western and in the Victorian era, as well as most other railways in the Victorian era, had a great history of making things look beautiful with just throwing bits of brass on. Then also as a front coupler too, the couplers aren't springed. For what I know about the class, fairly historically correct display of a member of the single Dean in locomotives. These were used at the turn of the century. There was 81 of this certain class built. I don't think any survived into preservation, because the Great Western at turn of the century, because the Gauge Act, I think that's what it's called for one unified gauge, 4 foot 8.5 inches. The Great Western Railway at that time was running a huge 7 or 6 foot gauge, which really makes you think what would have happened to pretty much the English Empire and the English Commonwealth if the Brunel and the Great Western Railway prevailed with the choice of a much more broader gauge. The broad gauge would actually increase speed in locomotives, pretty much just because they could allow a bigger engine, a bigger boiler, a bigger everything. It has a contact the wheel there, and there. So not many contacts on the wheels. Still an alright model. It has well earned its place in my collection. See ya. Bye. This is Shed Railway. See ya.